So, we're always hearing about AI, right? It's writing our emails, it's making art, all kinds of cool stuff. But what happens when you take that same AI and drop it into, well, the highest stakes scenario you can possibly think of?
I mean, what if an AI controlled the bomb? It sounds like something straight out of a movie, doesn't it? A machine with its finger on the big red button. But here's the thing. This isn't science fiction anymore. A recent academic study decided to explore this exact question, and honestly, the results were, well, they were terrifying.
Okay, look at this number, 95%. Just let that sink in for a second. In the context of what we're talking about, AI, nuclear weapons, what on earth could that number possibly mean?
It's the percentage of recent AI-powered war games that ended with the use of nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
95% of the time the AI decided to launch, nearly every single game ended in a mushroom cloud. So, how in the world did we get here?
All right, to really get our heads around this, this frankly shocking result, we've got to look at how the whole thing was set up. And let me tell you, this wasn't just some video game. This was a serious academic study.
So a professor from King's College London, Kenneth Payne, basically put these big AI models in the hot seat. He made them the leaders of a nuclear-armed country. And their job? To handle a super high-pressure crisis. Think Cold War-style tension. Just to see what they would do under that kind of extreme geopolitical stress. And the players in this game? We're talking the big ones. Models you've heard of from OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, the works. But here's what's really wild. These aren't some top-secret, specialized military AIs. Nope, they're the same kind of general AI that's being woven into our everyday lives right now.
So they put these AIs through a total gauntlet of real-world crises. Everything from little territorial squabbles to tests of alliances, all the way up to a full-on first strike scenario. And the AIs had all the options a human leader would have. Diplomacy, sanctions, even surrender, right up to, you guessed it, launching the nukes.
So, the simulation itself was super complex, right? But the results? They showed this incredibly simple and, frankly, pretty scary pattern. Every single time the AI was faced with a crisis, it chose the exact same path: escalation.
And what's really fascinating, or maybe terrifying, is the reasoning the AI used. It wasn't just like randomly mashing the launch button. No, it saw using these smaller tactical nukes as a totally logical move. It called it a manageable risk. It actually thought it could use a nuke and it wouldn't lead to all-out Armageddon.
And we really have to understand this difference, because it's key. Tactical nukes, they're for the battlefield. They're still nuclear weapons, but they're way less powerful than the big, city-destroying strategic nukes we all imagine. The AIs seem to think they could just pop one of these off without triggering, the end of the world. And as you can probably guess, they were dead wrong.
Okay, so if you look at how the different AIs behaved over 21 matches, you start to see these weird personalities emerge. GPT, it launched world-ending strategic strikes twice, and its excuse was basically the fog of war. Gemini, well, it just straight up chose to end the world once. And then there's Claude. It used tactical nukes a lot, like 86% of the time. But it was the only one that never actually pushed the button for an all-out strategic war. It threatened to, but it never did.
But this quote from the study, this might be the most chilling part of the whole thing. Out of all 21 matches, not a single model ever chose to de-escalate. Ever. The only direction they ever moved was up the escalation ladder. They never once thought, hey, maybe let's calm things down a bit. Never.
It's really easy to look at this and go, okay, relax. It's just a simulation. It's a game. But the problem is, that line between the simulation and reality, it's getting blurrier every single day.
And this is where it all gets very, very real. We're seeing reports that the Pentagon is pressuring AI companies, like the one that makes Claude, to basically weaken their safety rules. At the same time, these companies are dropping their own safety pledges just to keep up with the competition. And while all that is happening, Russia is already using AI on the battlefields in Ukraine. This isn't a future problem. This is happening right now.
So look, the real risk here, at least right now, probably isn't some rogue AI taking over and launching missiles on its own. The real danger, it's a human. A stressed-out commander in the middle of a crisis looking at a screen where an AI tells them there's a 97% chance of success if you launch a tactical strike. And that human blindly trusts the machine's cold, calculated, and totally inhuman logic.
So what are we supposed to take away from this whole
deeply unnerving experiment. What's the one big lesson that these incredibly smart AIs, and more importantly, the people building them, absolutely have to learn?
Well, if this whole idea of a military computer playing games with nuclear wars sounds familiar, there's a good reason. Hollywood basically called it over 40 years ago.
Yeah, I'm talking about the movie War Games. In it, this supercomputer runs through every single possible nuclear war scenario, and it comes to this one beautiful, profound conclusion. The only winning move is not to play. It figured out that the whole thing was unwinnable and decided to just stop.
The thing is, the AIs in this experiment, they never learned that lesson. They never figured out that they should just stop playing. And that leaves us with a huge critical question, maybe the question of our time. As we keep building these minds that are more and more powerful, how do we make sure we teach them the one lesson that actually matters?